Welcome to the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. If you're looking to get more out of your Shenandoah Valley experience, then this is the podcast for you. You'll meet interesting people, the comedians that perform here, and find out more about what you can do and see. Whether you live here or plan to visit, listen to explore what helps make up our unique slice of heaven. Now here's your host, Dawn Davis Womack.
Hello, Laughers. I'm so excited to introduce you to Tom Eshelman, General Manager of the Shenandoah County Fair Association, here to talk to us today about their Christmas in the Valley Laughers can enjoy. It's a 1.5-mile drive following the magical Christmas lights trail with over 40 impressive holiday scenes and light display. Located at the Shenandoah County Fairgrounds in Woodstock, just off I-81 from November 19th through New Year's. Welcome to the show, Tom. It's great to have you on today.
Thank you for having us on. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, this is so good. I understand that last year was the first year of Christmas in the Valley, and it's the only regional holiday driving tour we have around here. I went to it and I was so impressed. Can you tell us the story of Christmas in the Valley and how it came to be?
Well, it's actually something we've looked at before, approximately 7 or 8 years ago. Kind of put together a business plan, and the fair board had just decided that the timing wasn't right for it, and so we bypassed on it. So it's an idea that's been hovering in our heads for quite some time. So with COVID last year, obviously it canceled our fair, like so many other fairs across the country, and it left us in a situation with what can we do to try to sustain ourselves, keep our heads above water, and all that other good stuff. So I revisited the Christmas in the Valley idea, which was basically renting rides, or renting some scenes, that is, light scenes, that we could put up on our grounds. And we created a 1.5-mile trail, and we would dart these scenes around there. And so I met with the company, and they told us what it would cost to rent and set it up and everything like that. So with the advent of what happened this year, kind of revisited a new idea, and that was, well, what if we buy one? And so we looked into what the cost of it was, and it was, about $250,000 investment when you first start out. So you have to whittle it down and get it down to where you can get it in a range. So we designed a business plan and everything like that. And the business plan was based on, hopefully we can get 3,000 parts to come through, and it would, break even its first year, and we'd have, several more years to pay it off and things like that. And the board decided to buy it. And so we then put together our package, and we determined how many scenes we could squeeze in. And last year we did 37 scenes. And the whole idea behind it was you have to continuously reinvest. You don't want people getting bored with the same scenes without anything new. So we put that forth last year, and after the year was over, it was a great year. And it went well beyond our expectations. And so by owning it now, we have what we had before, and we went ahead and we bought approximately 8 more scenes this year. And those are added into it. And our plan is to keep refreshing it. So it's kind of cool. It was exciting. A lot of work involved, things like that. But the board got behind it, and it did really great for us.
I had no idea. That's so interesting. That's really wild to me how they sell them in scenes. I had envisioned in my head that you would buy a lighted tree, buy a lighted angel, and, kind of how we do for our residences, our homes. I guess they do sell scenes, but it sounds like at a commercial level, it's a whole different ballgame.
They have catalogs, and just like you're looking through Amazon or through the Sears and Roebuck catalog that we used to in the days, you go through and you look at the scenes and you see the cost. And they're not inexpensive. I mean, your average scene runs around probably $3,000, and they go all the way up to, 80 and 90,000. You can get some pretty big scenes. Ours fell in the range of between 2,500, and I think we had one go up to around 15,000. And that allows you to put on a really good show. But each scene has different sizes, different color light bulbs. It has different effects. Some scenes are just stagnant, and you look at them. Other scenes are animated, where the feet might move or smoke might come out of a choo-choo train's, steam, things like that. So we tried to have a little bit of everything. And it took a lot of timing. I mean, we had to build the show probably about 4 or 5 times before we found something we could afford that would be good for the public. So,
How
a
many?
lot of thought went into it.
Definitely, I can see that. How many pieces are in a typical scene, or what does it range?
Well, you can have a candy cane, which is
Okay.
one figurine, or a lollipop, which is one figurine. But then you take in like a nativity scene. You can start with Mary and Joseph in the manger, and grow from there. What we decided to do was go ahead and purchase 12 figures for that. So we have the three kings, we have shepherds, we have sheep, we even have a palm tree in. So some people say we're not in the Caribbean, but they had palm trees. And that's one scene. And then, you can buy like a 3-car train, which is just a train and a coal car and a caboose. We decided to buy, I think ours has 6. So we have 6 cars in our train. So some scenes have, that, and then some scenes have more. This year, the 2 scenes we bought a penguin scene. It has an igloo, and it has approximately 5 or 6 penguins. So it's really everything variable. It's like we have one huge sea serpent or dragon, whatever you want to call it. And he's approximately 50 feet long, but he's just one scene. And so he comes in several pieces and has to be installed. And so when he's up, you're only seeing one character, but it has probably about 5 or 6 parts to it. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. That reminds me, I wanted to ask, how many people did it take to install all the lights, and how long did it take to put the whole light display together?
You come to the conclusion that there's never enough people to put it up. It was pretty. I mean, our first year, it was really a true learning experience. I mean, we opened up the tractor trailer, and it's packed full of these big, gigantic 10 and 12 foot tall frames. And we pulled them off the truck, and we said, well, how do you even stand them up? So it was a real huge learning experience. So we hired a professional guy to come in and show us. It took about, some days we were working 8 of us, and other days we worked like 12. So you can get too many because all of a sudden you got too much going on. It can kind of get out of hand. So we had a group of guys do nothing but lane lighting. It's a 1.5 miles of lane lighting, and you times that by 2 because you got a left-hand side of your lane and you've got a right-hand side of your lane. So they put up 3 miles of lighting. So that took them about a week just to do that. And then we put up all the scenes. Just putting them up is one thing. Then you've got to get them all hooked up to electricity, and you got to do the animation part of it. And then also on top of that, we decided to light all of our buildings. So we had guys on a forklift for about 2 weeks just doing nothing but putting lights up around the perimeter of all of our buildings. So it was a lot of different moving parts. It really was. So I would say all in all, probably about 15 folks. Took us about almost 3 weeks to get it up, close to 4 weeks.
So then you're starting in late October?
Yeah, we have the horse racing here, and they end usually the second or third week of October. And then the moment they're gone, we clean up the grounds. And the moment they're gone, we start installing things. Now, next year, the horse racing is going to go in all the way into the first weekend of November. They're adding race dates. So we're sitting there saying to ourselves, So we're going to bring in as many people as we can and bring in the crews and try to get it set up. Might not get open the week before Thanksgiving. We'll just have to wait and see if Mother Nature cooperates. We try to open up the week before November, Thanksgiving weekend. But this year coming up, it may be Thanksgiving. So we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll play that one by ear.
Yes.
Yeah. What were some of your team's biggest challenges in doing all of this, would you say?
The bigger scenes, we just didn't know what we were getting into. I guess for your folks that are listening, the best way to describe it is just imagine a square that's made out of metal. It's basically like a 2-inch by 2-inch tube, a square tube. And imagine it being 8 feet tall and maybe 16 feet long. And some of the scenes require you to put 2 or 3 of those side by side, but then also put 2 or 3 of those on top of the other. And so you're setting a 2-inch tube on top of another 2-inch tube. And the way all this gets supported is with guide wires. And we probably went through, I'd say 30 or 40 rolls of wire. And they are stretched out approximately 15 feet from the top down to the bottom. And then they're driven in you tie it around rebar stakes that are driven into the ground. We probably have close to 300-400 rebar stakes in the ground. and then all of this guide wire stretches from them and is wrapped around the rebar and secured. And the bigger the scene, the more you got to do. You got to do the middle, and you got to do it across the whole length of the thing. So imagine if your scene is 24 feet long, you might have them every 8 feet. So pretty intense. And you got to pull the wire very nice and tight. And you got to get it level. You got one guy pulling on the front side and one guy pulling on the right side. And then you got an idiot like me standing out about 6 feet saying, it's not straight. You got to pull it over a little bit. So it's kind of cool. And this year was a lot simpler. It went up a lot quicker. And we had a lot of help. So you need a couple of bosses to make it happen. And I didn't have a problem being a boss. That was okay.
That's okay. But it also sounds like you rolled up your sleeves too to install them yourself.
Yeah,
You're part of that installation team.
Yeah. I mean, in January, we didn't have a crew on, and myself and the maintenance guy took every scene down. That took us about 2.5 weeks prior. So they come down a lot easier than they go up. And then later on, when it got warm, we took the lights down off the buildings. My hopes are they'll leave the lights up on the buildings this year. And maybe we can light them during special events and during our fair and stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I was out there. I was definitely a part of it. There was about 8 of us this year from the fair that worked pretty continuous. And then we would bring in crews like from a local landscape company. And we had some volunteers come in and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it's really a lot of fun. It's not just, it's an experience, really. And it's the 1.5-mile drive-through is impressive. But then you can also tune into a radio station that plays Christmas music as you're going through, right? That's what I remember.
Yeah, it's a pre-recorded chip.
Okay.
And it has approximately 20 songs on it. And what you do is you find a radio station locally, a channel that there's nothing in it. For around our radio channel, our signal goes out for about 1 mile from the station. On some nights when it's really, really nice and calm, you can get it about 2 miles out. But ultimately, it's just around our local area. So when you come in, you'll tune to that radio station, and the music is animated. The lights are animated to the music on some of the scenes. So you might see, we might have 12 Christmas trees out there, and they're all dancing to the beat of the music. So it's pretty cool. Probably the largest thing that we have is our tunnel. It's 130 feet long. It's 16 feet tall. And it has 12 different ribs, I guess would be a way to say it. They're all lit. And they all dance to the music, a color. And it's really cool. And when you get in the middle of it, probably one of the biggest issues we have is that people like to stop in the middle of it and just be a part of what's going on. So you have to make sure they keep moving. But there's enough time in between cars usually that somebody can do that.
And I may or may not have been one of those people.
Well, you wouldn't have been by yourself. There's a lot of people like to do it. The funniest thing is that people like stop their car, they see a scene that they really like, and the next thing you know, they're getting out of their car and they're all running over to the scene and they're tripping over the guide wire. So I had to put pink ribbon on all of the guide wires, one, to keep people from tripping over them, but also to keep the deer out. The deer, when we first put this up last year, the deer took down 3 or 4 scenes. And I thought, man, that deer has just got to be really ticked off at us. It comes galloping through the field, and all of a sudden it gets just torn down by this daggone piece of wire that they couldn't see. So we put ribbon up, and I know they're colorblind, but at least the ribbon blows on the wire, and then they can see it. And same holds true for the people that are trying to get a picture in front of it. So we kind of don't want them to do that, but you can't be at every place at every time. So it works out.
Yeah. How many people did you have come through that first year? Was it a surprising number?
Yeah, it's by car is how you do it. I mean, that's how we charge. That's how the formula was done for the budget. And our hopes were to get 3,000 people last year. And that was a good game plan for us. That allowed us to pay for the show over a 5-year period of time and, just kind of do the things we need to do. And ultimately, with COVID, the excitement of people talking around and how great it was to have something like this in Shenandoah County, we ended up with over 5,000 cars.
Wow.
And so, what we did was we didn't pocket that money. We just put it towards the note. So now instead of paying for this unit in 5 years, hopefully we can get it paid for in maybe 3.5 or something like that. So, but it was really great to have that. And the key thing was we set aside funds to reinvest, like I said before. You got to add fresh things. And my hopes are we'll grow and maybe add one more big unit, maybe add something that's like $15,000 or $18,000. just as successful as our tunnel is. So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, and I hear it's bigger and better than last year. So what did you add? Can you tell us more so? How is it bigger and better?
Well, last year, because, we do have harness racing here at our fair, and we have it during the fair, and then now we have it for pari-mutuel racing. So the harness racing track is a very important, integral part of who we are and how we exist and our heritage of 104 years. So we had a sulky, which is the cart that a horse pulls when they trot, made with a driver in it and a full-size horse. And we had that custom made. It was 24 feet long and approximately 10 feet tall. And we had that one made. And it was such a huge success that I had some horsemen say, hey, we need more of those. Because generally a race has a minimum of 4 carts in it, sometimes as many as 6. So we were able to raise enough money over and above our investment to get 3 more of those made. So now when you pull on into our infield, you'll not see one sulky, but you'll see 4 sulkies, 4 drivers, and they have some custom colors on them. And then we also took the actual starting car that starts harness races. We put it out there, and we put lights on all over the gates. And so it's kind of cool. It's the first scene you see when you pull onto the track, and it takes over 100 feet of your vision. So it's really neat. So that was a big thing that we added. We added the penguin scene, as I talked about earlier. We got an igloo out in the field, and these penguins are doing different things. We added an elves workshop. So we got them sawing boards, and it's animated, and they have a little building. They're carrying wood, and so they're carrying toys and presents. So that was an addition. We didn't have a Santa Claus being pulled by the reindeer. We had Santa Claus waving at folks. So we got a full-size sled and a Santa Claus in the sled, along with the profiles of 4 deer, with the idea that there's 4 more deer on the other side. You can only see one side. So that's out there, and they have animated feet, and they're pulling Santa through. And then we added some lollipops. We added some snowflakes on our fence lines to greet people as they come in, and we added a couple candy canes and things like that. So all in all, it's pretty cool what we brought aboard.
I think that's really amazing. Just to back up a little bit, just because I'm not as familiar with horse racing as you are and well versed in it, I don't know what what did you call it, a sulky car is?
Sulky. Have you ever seen harness racing on television? Ever?
Not really, no. So I don't have any visual of what this looks like.
Well, the key thing in harness racing is the horses don't run; they trot.
Okay.
And so it's a gallop, and it's not even really a gallop; it's a trot. And they're not allowed to break stride and run, or they're penalized and they have to go to the back of the pack. But ultimately, you have the starting car with these big swing-out gates, and they cover the whole width of the track, which is about 80 to 90 feet. And the horses get into their trot, and the car is driving around the track, and the horses line up behind the car. And they're all going around at the same exact speed. And then when the race starts, the car speeds up and the gates close onto the car. And the car speeds on up around them and goes around the track. So by the time the horses get to the car, they're all crowded in on the inside lane. But each horse is trotting, and it's pulling a little 2-wheel cart. And then in the 2-wheel cart is a driver. And that driver is basically leaning back and balancing out the weight, and they're racing around the track at a trot. So it's pretty neat. And if you've never seen it, it's great to witness. And we're very fortunate. We started getting more and more interest. We've reached out to the JMU students, and they pile in here. I think we had 150 here one weekend, and they get all dressed up. They're sororities and fraternities, and they'll come in and they'll do a little bit of betting and stuff like that, $2 bets and stuff that they have in their wallet. And it's very exciting. The cool thing about what we do here is that you're right on the track. Many tracks, the folks are very far away. You're literally only 10 feet from the track when you're witnessing the racing. And because it's only a half-mile track, you can watch the entire race and see it happen. They make 2 laps here at our track. If you're on a 1-mile track, a lot of times they get so far out, you can't really see what's going on. So with that in mind, keeping the heritage, that's why we had sulkies introduced. And I had 2 great sponsors, Mr. Robbins, Chief Robbins, who's a huge harness racing advocate, and then son Clement Ziegler donated some funds in memory of his father, Marvin. And so between the 2 of them, we were able to add 3 more sulkies. So that was awesome.
I'm really loving that you shared that, because then as people drive through, they can have some context in terms of what they're looking at, even if they didn't know anything about sulkies or the harness racing before. That's now, and I will too when I go through again this year. So thank you for sharing that. I
What'll be the
appreciate
first
it.
thing you see? So when you see it, you say, Tom told me about those. So there you
That's
go.
right. And you remember that, laughers. You can say, hey, Tom told me about that, and you know to look for it. That's great. What's your personal favorite light display or scene, Tom, for you? What's your favorite out of all of them?
Probably the logo that we created. We created a scene entitled Christmas in the Valley, and it's basically about 20 feet tall, and it's about 35, 40 feet long. And it has the wording Christmas in the Valley spelled out on it. And on top of the word Christmas, it has a big, gigantic Santa hat, a red and white Santa hat. And I don't know, that's what we're all about. And the fact that it announces where you're at. We had it at the entrance last year. Now we have it out where it can be easily seen from the interstate, so that when people are riding by, they'll say, well, what the heck are all those Christmas lights up there? And they'll see our logo, Christmas in the Valley. So I have to say that's probably my favorite. And the second best one would be the choo-choo train, because it has smoke coming out of the steam cauldron, and that's kind of cool too. But I really like the Christmas in the Valley logo itself.
Yeah, you're not just lights, you're special effects.
Yes, definitely for sure.
That's really great. Well, what does it cost for people to drive through? And do you have any special discounted nights available?
Well, we're open 4 nights of the week. So we're open on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We open each day at 5. It's dark pretty much right after that. There are some people that like going through right before, it gets dark. I can't figure out why, but they do. On Thursday and Sunday, we're open till 8. And on Fridays and Saturdays, we're open till 9. It's $25 for a car load. And I mean, we've had some people pile them in there before. But ultimately, Thursday night is what we call our family night. And a family of 4 can come in, at $20. And at $5 a person, there's not a lot you can do for $5 a person. I mean, you can't even see a movie for that anymore. And so we think, that's pretty good value. So Thursday nights are $20. Don't need a coupon or anything like that. You just show up and come in. And we don't pre-sell any of our tickets. We move the cars through very, very quick. Very, very little time is spent waiting in line, what you're supposed to be calling queue. And we'll get you in pretty quick and get you into the trail. You turn your lights off, you put on the Christmas music, and you go about, 4 or 5 miles per hour. You don't go real fast. You let some distance get between you and the car in front so that you can enjoy things. And it'll take you about 20 minutes to go through.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Lots of tours are really short. You feel like you blinked and it was over. And that's what was so enjoyable about going through it last year. I was like, this is, a wonderful length with the experience of music and the amazing lights is truly impressive. I'm so glad that we got to share some more about this. And also, too, because it is so impressive, I'm wondering, did you get any support from the community to back this project, to back what you're doing with all of this Christmas in the Valley?
We did. I mean, last year, I was just overwhelmed. I had projected to the board what I thought we would get from the community. But what we had happen was almost every one of our major sponsors for the fair basically shifted their money over to us to help us put on the event. So we had 12 sponsors last year help us out, and that was great. And so this year, our fair happened. So a lot of the sponsorships obviously went back to the fair. But we had some double dipping done by some of our sponsors who said, you know what, we believe in what you're doing. We believe in the family atmosphere you're creating. And they set aside funds to help us out again. I mean, this year, we actually have a new auto dealer, Criswell Ford and Criswell Jeep. They stepped up to the plate. Holtz Contracting stepped up to the plate to help us out. He was one that was there last year, as well as Orts Electric. They helped us out. And then other ones that came aboard with Valley Health, they came aboard in a big way. In fact, Valley Health contributed coupons to over 800 employees to come and see this. So they really stepped up to the plate. And then someone that's always there for us has been LD&B Insurance. And last but not least, our current bank, the bank that helped us finance this and put together the creative package, they came aboard as a sponsor as well as First Bank. then, on top of all of that, we get help from the town of Woodstock through, support, through advertising, through their police department and stuff. So, the community really steps up. This year we had the fair, and it was a record year for support of the fair. And so then to have these sponsors not only support the fair, but come back and support Christmas in the Valley was really exceptional. So we're really pleased.
In terms, you are blessed. And in terms of staffing, is that volunteers that help you out? Who do you get to help you work with the queue and put the cars through? And how many people does that take? We got some great employees.
Dawn runs our office under normal pretenses and here Monday through Friday. And then Keith is our grounds guy. So what we do is right before Thanksgiving, their world kind of shifts, and they have Mondays and Tuesdays off. And then they work these evenings and work the weekends, and they shift their hours for 5 weeks. So they're still getting in their time. They get in a little bit of OT, but Dawn's very possessive. So she'll run that queue. She won't let anybody else run it. She knows what she's doing, and it's hers. And then we have some fair volunteers along with their wives and even their kids. We give out candy canes to everybody that comes through. So they're manning the candy canes and they're getting them ready. And then anytime traffic is backed up a little bit, we have some board of directors that go out, and we'll go from one lane to 2 lanes of traffic to funnel people in. And so, generally it's easy to operate. Keith goes around and turns everything on. It takes about a half an hour. And then at the end of the night, he goes through and turns everything off. And some of the vehicles that come through are kind of long. We get some buses in here, or we've actually had people coming down the interstate, pulled off the road. What is this? It's a drive-through park, and they got a camper on the back. And they said, do you think I can make it through? And we'll measure them out. And we can generally handle something that's about 28 to 30 feet long. We tell them, okay, when you get to these hairpin turns, just make sure you go wide. So we've actually had RVs and travel trailers go through our parks. Pretty crazy.
That is amazing. Yeah. Do you give corporate discounts to people?
We do. At certain levels, when you get up to a certain level, we'll provide a discount. I mean, we're pretty much done for the year. Most corporations have done that. But if someone's out there and they listen to this and they'd like to do a last minute gift, it's generally 100 tickets or more. And that's kind of where Valley Health fell into play, and a couple of the other companies that do business with us. So it's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. As we wrap up here, can you share with the Laughers the Christmas in the Valley website and how they can follow you all on social media or elsewhere to get information and revisit what your hours of operation are?
Well, there's several ways to go. We actually, the easiest way, in my opinion, is just to go to shencofair.com. That's our website during the fair. That's our website all year long, and that's our Facebook page. We do have a dedicated website, which is called ChristmasInTheValleyVA.com. But 9 out of 10 people forget the VA and they can't find it, so they go to Shenco Fair. So we pretty much put everything into the Shenco Fair website, so you can see all the information, and you can click on a link that'll take you to the site. We actually have a video. It's kind of really neat of from up in the air. So we get a bird's eye view. We have a drone that actually flew through the tunnel, and it's flown over, and the video is very exceptional. And we're very thankful to the company that did that. And we had that done a year ago. And so we're going to hold on to that. That's a cool puppy. So you can kind of get a taste of what it is you're going to see. It's kind of neat.
Yeah. What company did that for you?
It was a company called Mirandum Pictures. They're out of Front Royal, Virginia. And they can do some really incredible commercials, and they've won some video awards. They've done some short stories and movies and stuff. And it's a little known production company. They don't do a lot local. And I just happen to know them, and they did an exceptional job. It's really cool. They've done our fair video before too. So.
Oh, that is a nice special little gem right there. So Laughers, be sure to check that drone footage out, because that's going to get you even more excited to go see Christmas in the Valley. This has been really great. Thank you, Tom. Really, really, truly been a joy spending time with you, learning more about Christmas in the Valley, a bit of the behind the scenes that has made it all happen at the Shenandoah County Fairgrounds. It's been so fun. Thank you.
No, thank you. And if you're around after New Year's, put your long underwear on, wear your heavy boots and parka, we'll be out here tearing it down. Come right on out and help.
Yeah, you'll gladly take that free help, I'm sure.
No problem at all. Might even get you a slice of pizza for lunch. You just never know.
Okay.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody has enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yes, you are welcome. And I'll think about that, Tom. The pizza enticed me a little bit. I'm going to say it. And Laughers, remember, you can head to their website for more information and hours of operation. And we will put that information in the show notes for you so you can check it out there as well. And lastly, and most importantly, thanks for tuning in, Laughers. Out of all the podcasts out there, you picked us, and we think that's pretty darn special, just like you. Until next time, keep smiling. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. We'll be dropping a new podcast every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so check back for another uplifting episode. Come to an X2 Comedy show or let us bring a show to you. To find out more, head to x2comedy.com. Be sure to share us with a friend. Until next time, cheers.